There's a lot of Broadway shows happening all the time. They're opening and closing all the time. That's probably an important step that I see people missing.
I got this as a red flag.
It's a red flag.
I watched both of you guys' shows like way too many times, but I need it.
Is that lame when someone like wants to watch it too many times? Does that make you nervous?
There's no too many.
It's about what people maybe don't understand if you've never done Broadway before is maybe...
Today's episode is sponsored by Gator Cases. Guitarists, like any other musician, value the advantages of proper protection for their gear. Guitars, amps, effects, and accessories all need safe transport and storage. Luckily, Gator's got you covered.
I love it. Okay, we're diving in. Here we go. Ben, how do you sub a show? It is the biggest pain in the ass. Everyone's done it.
Ask Peter, you subbed on more shows than me.
Peter, how do you do it? So when you get the call, first, what happens? Most of the time, do you get called or do you have to reach out and like network, or most of the time does someone call you and say, hey, we need a sub, can you do it? And then you figure out what to do?
The latter has only really happened to me, I think, once. It's mostly a lot of cold calling. I mean,
let's face it, it's not calls, right? It's
cold emailing.
Emails, it's messages on social media.
Yeah.
Hey.
The bar hang and all that stuff is really important too, I think, for getting to know people. But I had my most success with just a nice email and a reel demonstrating what I could do. And then I kind of came to realize more and more on how important it is to actually know what's in a show. There's a lot of Broadway shows happening all the time. They're opening and closing all the time. Not every show is for every player. You know, you can be a specialist in certain things or not very good at other things. It's not really a reflection on you if you can't do well at one, but you can at another. And so I think just targeted kind of networking, or not networking, but networking in general, but targeted outreach. If you think that you both have the skill set and the availability to help a regular, which is what it really comes down to. You know, the chairholders want to be able to comfortably take a day off without a headache, so that they can do other things to advance their personal time or careers. So I think that's probably an important step that I see people missing in general, is the innate understanding of what's in a show, what's going to be required of it, what instruments do you need to know, what techniques do you need to know, and then how to just effectively communicate, like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I can do, I'm available. I watched both of you guys' shows like way too many times, but I need it.
Is that lame when someone like wants to watch it too many times? Does that make you nervous?
There's no too many
There's
times.
no too many times.
Yeah, absolutely not.
That doesn't
it's
make
lame when they want to watch it twice or something, and then I got this. It's like, no, you don't.
That's
I got this as a red flag.
It's a red flag.
I was like, oh yeah, cool. I checked it out. It's yeah, cool, no problem. You know, I'm ready. Like,
No,
because the thing is about what people maybe don't understand if you've never done Broadway before is maybe people think that, like, okay, you have to be able to read, sight read. You have to be able to read. So you're going to look at the book, a little, and you're going to come in and you're going to sit down and play it. That's not, I don't think that's how it is. There's maybe one or two shows occasionally where it's like, yeah, you could kind of do that. But for guitar players, generally speaking, you've got your setup. You've got, okay, here's two electrics, here's a steel string, here's a nylon string, maybe here's a ukulele, a mandolin, or whatever. You've got pedal setups, and you've got to learn all your moves, the choreography of when to switch and everything.
Exactly.
And you also have to get inside, not just playing the notes, but you have to get inside like the attitude and the even the touch. The weird thing about subbing is that it's completely front loaded. The beginning is so stressful. And then once you really know a show, it just becomes so easy and very, very quickly can kind of become boring, because you're playing the same show over and over, right? Like for the regulars. But the people that are playing in the rest of the band, when you come in, they do the same show 8 times a week, 7 times, 6 times, whatever they do a week for years. They hear every nuance, and a different person comes in, and it's really kind of unfair, right? Because a different person comes in and they pick up your guitar, and they're picking a little harder, or their feel is a little different, or they're using different picks, or they've got their acoustic guitar right up on the mic and it's too close and it's getting loud or whatever, and they don't necessarily know that, and then everyone else is playing. It's like, what's going on over there? Or I heard a clam, and they're all like, they hear every little thing.
Sometimes though, is it sometimes nice when someone new comes in and brings a little different perspective, or is it always a negative? Is the point to always sound exactly like the chair?
Well, there's no way to play something that's 2.5 hours without having your own playing come through, you know, somewhat.
Right.
But the main thing is you have to look at it as objectively, you're trying to like get over the high bar. It's either you made the high bar or you didn't make the high bar. If your legs are hanging over, it doesn't matter if you were doing you or not, you know?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly like it, but I mean, you start out as you really want to get the nuances of what they're doing. And then after you've been playing a bit, you can start doing your own thing once the attention is off a little bit more, and you can start like adding your own elements in a little bit more. But at the beginning, you try to sound as much as you can like the other guy, which is not that easy. Mainly like dynamics and stuff are really difficult because you can't really tell that until you're playing and someone tells you it's too loud or too soft.
Wait, Ben, so you just said, so you're right now, you're subbing shows or whatever. So when you go in to sub a new show, you get the book. Do you get a conductor cam?
Yeah, you get typically these
sometimes.
days. You
Sometimes.
usually, in my experience, you usually get like a Dropbox link with the book, the conductor video, maybe audio recording. Some people cut them up into songs, so you've like an album of songs. A cast recording it doesn't help you really.
Yeah.
You can listen to it, but it's not going to help you.
You won't hear any guitar on
You
it.
won't hear any guitar in the mix.
That's true. And the arrangements are always different, or the cuts are different.
Yeah, it's
Always.
it's all different, and you get all that, and maybe I know I looked at Peter's. But
Yeah,
he had
I was
copious
stressing.
notes and additional videos of how to play certain things, which is super helpful and great. Like some things are like a weird thing. Like in Spider-Man, I had a guitar tuned to Nashville tuning, but it was capoed up or something.
Like
some high strung, and it was capoed up or something. But then when you read that's what it was. When you read the transcription of what it is, it looks impossible to play.
Oh, yeah, right, of
but then
course.
when you actually just listen, I'll make a little video. These are the chords. This is the strumming pattern. It equals this on the music. But just learn it and play it. So that kind of stuff can help. So you look at all that stuff. You go and watch the show. Usually you want to like get some familiarity with it first, and then come in and sit in the pit and watch the person play it. Hopefully you get it's a pit where you can actually sit kind of next to or behind or whatever, and you can not only watch them play, but also watch the choreography and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then zero in. I always ask, where do people trip up?
Where are the money
what are the
spots?
sub killers?
Yeah, right, yeah.
What are the money spots or whatever you want to call it, the white knuckle moments? And it could be the easiest thing. Like you could look at something, like, oh, it's got this cool part, and I learned it and I play it really great, whatever. But then when you go to do the show, that's not the thing that's going to trip you up.
Yeah.
It literally could be at this one moment in this bar, and there's a transition to this, and you've got to follow the conductor or whatever. It's always the things that are exposed when only you are playing. Or the things where you start the song and again exposed, or the things where there's no click and you're just following the conductor and it's just like you, the conductor, and a singer or something. Those usually wind up being more important than some guitar solo.
And they even say like, it's only on Broadway where playing something like a Mel Bay level melody line could be really hard,
Yeah, because you clam one note and it just sounds like hilariously wrong. It's just everyone knows what it should be, and you put on one fret off or whatever, and the kinds of things on gigs, if you play in bands and you've played in clubs and you've gone on tour, whatever, the kind of stuff that would just disappear the second that it happened, but not in a Broadway pit. Those are the eye-opening moments.
One thing that I would always do is record every time I go in.
Oh, really?
So if you watch it 4 times or
It's a
even
little
5
different
times,
every time.
I have recording every time. So because one thing that happens is people get hung up on like the tempos within a certain specific recording they have, and then they play that when they come in. But that might not be at all what happens while they're playing, relative to the recording. So if you record like 4 times, or every time you come in, which could be even 4 or 5 times depending on the difficulty of the show, You get that, you get the tempo changes, but also you hear where the guitar player is, like where he's playing the ink, or where he might like ad lib a lot of spots, but in which spots does he really ad lib, and which spots does he play sort of the same thing every time, even though it's an ad libby type spot, he might play the same thing every time. So you might want to do that, and then that's one little detail. Playing on Broadway, people always say, well, you got to be a good reader, right? And it's like, well, yes, but you're not you have to be a good reader if they throw the music at you. Like when you start a show, which I've done maybe 8 or 9 shows that were my own shows, and then you go in and you rehearse. They rehearse the actors for 8 weeks, and then you go in and they get the band in 2.5 days.
Yeah,
you have.
Right.
So you're definitely.
And they go, here's your book. And
But I always felt like if you're subbing, you just have to be a good preparer. You don't necessarily
that's what I was getting
need to be
to.
a great reader.
Yeah.
Right, you're not reading at all by the time you go in
you've
month
already,
later.
You've already memorized it. You're looking at the music because you have to know where you are at all times, and you have to follow a conductor and look at the music. But you're not.
I think that's
you're not
part
sight
of
reading